Okay, so we learned that we can create a lifecycle and assign it to the default channel. By doing this, we made sure that before anything or any package could go to production environment, it had to be deployed to dev environment. So now what we can enforce as well is that before a package goes to production environment, we check and we make sure that it's coming from the right branch, which is the RC branch. Because as I said, if we look at the two versions of CI/CD demo package that we have, one of them comes from master branch and one of them comes from RC branch. Only the one that comes from RC branch is allowed to go to production environment. With lifecycle, we cannot enforce that. Now we want to see how we can enforce this rule. In order to enforce rules such as branch, for example, we have to create something called channel, and channel is defined at project level. So you have to edit your project and then there is a channels tab. That is where we went and we changed the default lifecycle. So now we want to create a new channel. Let's call it production, and we want to use this channel to deploy to production. The life cycle is obviously production life cycle because this channel wants to deploy to production environment, and this life cycle makes us sure that anything that goes to production environment has gone to the development environment before. If you want to make this your default channel, you can also click on this checkbox to make this the default channel, and after that you define rules, and this is what makes channels different to life cycles. So in order to add a rule, you just click on add version rule, and there are multiple things you can define. The first thing is that you have to choose your steps. All the steps that you have in your project are almost all of them are available in here, and you have to choose them. If you exclude any of these steps, then this rule will not apply on that step. And by doing this, Octopus Deploy has given you so much flexibility. Sometimes I find it annoying that I have to click here and choose the steps multiple times, but I understand that this gives me flexibility. And then we have version range and we have pre-release tag. For the purpose of this lecture, we want to make sure that only the RC branch can go to production. So in order to visualize what I want to do, there is a designer. I can click on it and it tells me that there are two versions of the same package, which you see here. One of them ends to -RC, one of them ends to -master. And now I can filter by the release tag or pre-release tag. And if you remember, I said before that anything that comes after dash is the release tag or pre-release tag. So I can say for this channel, the release tag or pre-release tag should be RC. And as you see, the top version that ends to -RC is green and the other one gets crossed, and that means that only the one that is green can be deployed. And we click on OK, and if I save, now I have a channel that enforces the deployment to be done on dev first and then on production, and it can only go to production if its version has -RC at the end. And then again, if we edit this version rule, there is a version range as well. Version range allows you to filter by the build number as well, depending on whether you use .NET or Java, for example, NuGet packages or Maven. There are different rules. You can click on any of these links and get the syntax. The syntax is very easy. So for example, if you want a specific version or a version like a minimum version, you just mention the version. Or if you want to say that I want version 1 but not 1 itself, then you can start with a open parentheses and then comma and then close parentheses. If you want to say that version must be 1, then you put it in bracket. So bracket, open bracket, 1, close bracket means version must be 1. Or if you want to say version 1 is invalid, just put it in parentheses. So there are some simple rules like this. Honestly, in my experience, version is not used that much. Mainly we use the pre-release tag. And now if I want to create a release, at the time of creating the release, you see that I can choose the channel. By default channel is selected, but I can select production channel and I click on save. So production channel enforce the production lifecycle, and because in production lifecycle we said that deployment to dev environment is automatic, it's already running. Production is gray, it means that it waits for dev environment to run. And if we look at the packages in here, it says that package is going to be this version, and that is because that version has the pre-release tag of RC. So that deployment is done as well. Now, if I create a release and say that I want production, and then I click on packages and I click on select version, you will see that I don't even see the master package. And again, that is because I said that any package that is going to be deployed, its version should end to RC. So you cannot even choose that version that comes from the master branch. If you don't select version, automatically you get the latest version that matches your filter. So this is the biggest build number that matched the pre-release tag, which was RC. I hope that you enjoyed this as well. Later I will show you how we can now assign different users and different groups to different channels. We can do that when I explain the users and roles and groups later.